$100 per unit. Price per quantity means one quantity. Okay.
Is there no way to replicate this for all the companies? Let's say I put it for 10 companies. Do I need to go and
No way. It's no, you cannot do that.
So I have to go and type for all 10 companies separate prices.
Yes, correct.
Or can I set the price before I release and then release?
No, you cannot do that. That is not available. If you go back and check, if I go back and show you the product form, this product form.
That does not even have it.
That is not at all. That tab is not at all there. If you say
until you release it, all those things are not there.
Yeah, because it's a company and specific information. You need to define once you have released to that particular company. Okay, so we have defined the purchase quantity and purchase price. We can define the sales price now.
Okay.
Okay. We'll define the purchase. If you want, you can change the selling unit. For example, you are buying in pieces, but you are selling in boxes. One box is equal to 12 pieces. So those conversions you need to define.
Okay.
Over here. Okay, if I say, if I select some other unit, say box and something like that, and 2 unit pieces, sorry, pieces to box. If I say this is 1 box.
Other way around, 1 and 2. Yeah, that was.
So when I say 10 box, it will 10 pieces, it will go to 1 box.
1 box, yeah.
Okay, so what I will do, I will put it as box now.
Okay.
Okay, so now this price I will change it. I will change it to 1200. Why? Because we have 10 pieces in 1 box. Okay.
Yeah.
You can also define over delivery, under delivery. This is a functionality which you can select in the parameter form, which I will show you. Okay. Yeah. You can say intercompany is a stop, in the sense you cannot create an intercompany order for this sales order for this particular item. Okay. If you have any say item sales tax, you can put it over here. Then in the discount type, you can add the line discount group and multi discount group. Okay, you can also say whether you want to use a particular alternate product for this particular item. For example, this product is not available for sale or purchase, for selling. Then you can define some other product number which can be used for selling this particular, for fulfilling the order of the customer. Okay. And if you have implemented the rebate functionality in sales, then you can define the rebate group for this particular item. Foreign trade. You can define the foreign trade informations, like under which commodity it falls. Okay, what is the code, for which particular country it is. Okay, any other additional you need to attach, or any charges to be applied. For example, you are doing for the foreign trade, for example, it will apply around 1% or 2% surcharge. Okay, all those things you can put it away, so that whenever sales order amount is calculated, this surcharges percentage is also calculated. Now this is called as manage inventory. Okay, in this we need to, if you want, you can define the detail of that particular item, like net weight, tear weight, gross weight, depth, height, tracking batch number, okay, serial numbers. If you are using the handling, how you are handling, you are putting some kind of pallet, how much per pallet, how much quantity catch weight, pallet quantity, minimum output quantity, all those you can define. If you are using any kind of packing material, you can define the packing group, the quantity, okay, how much time it will take to do the packing. Then again something called as for transfer orders, we can define the over delivery, under delivery. Whenever we do the cycle counting, you can define the cycle counting group over here. Cycle counting is one of the inventory concept which we'll see how it goes. Then what will be the inventory unit, okay. Then then we'll go to manage cost. In this again, if you want, you need to define item group, okay. Then the price, if you want to add any, what will be the price unit, which we have already specified as 1, okay. If you want to catch any dimensions basically this is related to the finance setup, where whenever you do any kind of transaction for this particular item, these dimensions will be captured in the finance along with the ledger accounts, okay. So this is like that. So when I've defined everything and say validate, it says the values may be specified field in item model group and item group. So whenever you release a particular product in a particular company, the two are very important things which you need to define. If you don't define purchase price, sales price, still the item will be saved and you can use those particular items during the transaction and specify the selling price or the manual price, purchase price manually. Whereas if you don't define item model group or item group, system will not allow you to save. Why? Item group will also sometimes control the posting to a particular ledger account in the finance, okay. For example, if the item falls in the category car or any other, for example AC, then with the help of item group we can also post that particular transaction to a specific ledger account, so that whenever we are trying to calculate the revenue or the cash flow, okay, what is the cash a company has, it will be very easy for them, okay. For that you need to define the item group, and item model group will control the pricing, the sales pricing of that particular item, okay. What happens whenever you are trying to purchase, the purchase price is 1 and the cost price will be the, for example, you have purchased 10 items for 100, then in inventory the cost price will be 100, which how 1000 divided by 10,000 divided by 10, that comes around 100, okay. So we define the item model group will define the cost price of a particular item, which will be captured during the manufacturing process, as well as during the calculation of taxes, as well as in some cases during the in the most of the cases during the inventory postings. In the sense, whenever we create a sales and purchase order, the cost price will be eventually nullified or registered in the purchase expenditure account and sales revenue account. For example, the purchase price of an item was, sales price of an item was $120, but the cost price was the cost price was $110. What will happen whenever you do a transaction? System will capture revenue, the final revenue as $120, but in the inventory revenue collection it will show as $110. Rest of the $10 will go into the profit and loss account. Okay, because the cost price is defined by the system. If you are changing the sales price, okay, then the difference will be posted as the profit and loss.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now to define the item model, item group, we need to go to manage inventory fast tab. Okay. Then we need to manage cost, and you need to define the appropriate item group. Okay, so if I show you what is the feature. So these are the ledger accounts for a particular order. So these are the transactions which are happening when you create a sales order, starting from the packing slip to the invoicing. These are the standard ledger accounts which gets affected. The order packing slip and packing slip offset are debit and credit one. These are one combination. This is one combination. Revenue and the vendor customer transaction will be one combination. If you have any discount, then you can put it will go to the discount amount. If the sales or rebate is implemented, the commission and commission offset is one account. Deferred revenue on delivery and deferred revenue offset to the delivery, in the sense when you are changing the price. Okay. Then the packing slip tax, if there is any tax, the tax will be posted separately. Sales order item shipped, sales order item shipped offset. When you ship a particular item, then the prices get affected over here. Okay, so we'll see in detail. Right now we'll just check how, I just show you how it is being controlled. Okay.
How did you go to that screen? Sorry, I missed how you went to that screen.
This is something, view details. The standard, we can go directly from here also. It's not here, it is here. Okay. It is there in the inventory management.
Okay.
Item group, item model group. So when you create an item group, you can create your new item group also. So this is, okay, I will not confuse you. This is item group, and this is item model group. So what is an item model group? So whenever we attach an item model group to a particular item, it controls how that particular item will behave when we create, or the posting of that particular item will behave when we create a sales order, when we post a sales order or a purchase order. Okay.
Okay.
So if you see in the screen, the first tab is the setup one. Okay. In the inventory policy group, you see there is something called stock product.
Yeah.
Okay. For example, you have created the product as item, not as a service. Okay. But still you can attach that particular, you can still, the behavior of that particular item can be as a service item, because a service item is never maintained in the inventory. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So if you select this particular item as stock, which means this is an inventorized item. So whoever uses, suppose whoever uses this particular item model group, I'm talking about the product, that product is stored in the warehouse. Yeah?
Okay.
Then we something called as negative inventory. So in what happens in some business process, you are allowed to update the inventory as negative. Okay, why we are doing that? So that you are able to fulfill the you are able to create the sales order or the purchase order. Okay, and you are also expecting, for example, the sales order delivery is after 3 months. Okay, but you want to create the invoice now and send it to the customer. Sometimes it happens that you need money to build the product. Customer says, okay, give me the sales order, I will do the needful. But you have not yet created those particular items, and you have not yet shipped. Okay. In that case, what will happen, as soon as the inventory is manufactured, the product is manufactured and it is updated in the inventory, it will nullify with the negative inventory. For example, you have created a sales order for 10 items and you have manufactured 20 items, which is registered in the warehouse. At the end of the day, it will only show you 10 items, not 20 items, because the negative inventory will be nullified with the inventory which you have updated.
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. So the same thing about the financials. If you want to impact that particular entry in the finance, then you need to select this particular checkbox as well. So in you can say in most of these, close to 70 to 80% of business, they select this particular checkbox because it will help them to realize their revenue in that particular you can say period or year itself.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Then if you have implemented quality assurance, then you need to define a quarantine management step and the consolidated method for that particular process. This is more or less related to quality management. So whenever you use a warehouse, whenever item order is using the warehouse management with quarantine management and consolidated picking, the item should have a warehouse attached to a warehouse which has a quarantine warehouse and is also applicable for the quality management. Okay.
Okay.
Then this is the very important checkbox. So you can say group, which says whether the ledger will be affected or not. Okay. When I say post physical inventory, in the sense when we create a shipment or packing slip, it will also create an entry in the finance books. If I uncheck, then there will be no entries. Then you cannot find that particular product or that particular revenue or the cost in your books. When I say post financial inventory, in the sense when you do the invoicing, it will post all the cost to the ledger accounts, respective ledger accounts.
Okay.
Okay. Then we have post deferred revenue accounts on the sales delivery. There is something called as the deferred revenue account, in the sense you are asking the system to stop during the finance entry, okay, and you will select an appropriate deferred revenue account on the go and post that particular entry in that particular ledger account. This is one of case nobody uses this one.
Okay.
Okay. When you select post physical inventory yes, then this acquired liability on the product received is automatically checked. You cannot uncheck this.
Makes sense.
So accrual is the finance concept which we have, the new concept which we have which they have implemented in AX2012 R2, which means you can realize the revenue on that particular period itself, even though you are going to receive the money in after 3 months, 1 month, or 6 months, which will give you the appropriate cash flow forecast for that particular period. For example, you have created a sales order, a purchase order today, okay, but you are going to receive that money next year in February. But when the finance manager goes and checks for you can say revenue collection or the revenue or the cost to the company, the invoices to be paid by the company, they can check only the accrual accounts and update, okay, and update the revenue accounts accordingly. So this is a new functionality which is there in AX2012. It was not there in AX2009.
Okay.
This is the major difference.
Okay.
Okay. Then there is some concept called reservations. Okay. We have sort FIFO control, backward from ship date, same batch selection. Okay. Backward from ship date in the sense you can you can do the invoicing backward from the ship date. Okay. If you are selecting, suppose you have you have got the product in batches, batch 1 and batch 2. Each batch has 10 quantities and you are selling 15. The system will not allow you to create a line for 15 because you cannot select the quantity from different batch. In that case, you need to again create 2 lines of 10 and 5.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. If you are doing the quarantine management, you need to check this particular checkbox, consolidate required. Okay.
Okay.
Then you can define the batch dispose code. If you are disposing a particular batch is spoiled or damaged, got damaged, you can do that. Okay. If you want to register the vendor's batch, you can select this particular checkbox. Okay. Then you have no check warning and not allowed, in the sense sometimes what happens, you can add a particular, you can allow only a particular vendor for the purchase of that particular item. Okay, so this you can say check, no check, warning, warning only, or not allowed.
Okay.
So this is one thing. Then we come to, this is the most important part where we select the inventory model. There we have FIFO, LIFO, LIFO date, weighted average date, and moving average. Moving average is the new, you can say, new inventory model group which has been added in AX 2012 R2, and it is basically used for retail industry.
Okay.
And in the world, most of the, not only retail, most of the company either uses standard cost or moving average. Why? Because if you see LIFO and FIFO, it's like first in, first out. Basically, these are used for the item which are sold in batch. Okay. The rest of the items you can do it either in batch or individual. Like weighted average and weighted average date, standard cost, and moving average, you can do it in batch as well as individual. The rest, these three are mostly used for the item which are bought or sold in batches, or they have a serial number.
Okay.
Okay, and in the case of LIFO and FIFO, what happens, you are only able to realize the actual cost price when you do the inventory closing. And inventory closing is a pretty much very longer or lengthy process. Okay. Whereas in the case of weighted average date, standard cost, and moving average, you don't have to do that. Inventory is always updated with the correct cost price.
Gotcha.
Okay, got it?
Yeah.
So this is more about this one. Then you can read more of the functionalities from the Wikipedia also. They have very good explanation of this. The standard term which is there in the Wikipedia, every ERP follows the same thing.
Okay.
So this is more about the item model group. So we need to define the item group. Then in the general tab, we need to select a particular item model group. I will select MOQ. Okay, I will select moving average quantity so that we can see the behavior of the item, how the cost price is getting affected. So now this, but if I say validate, this item is ready to use now.
Okay.
If I go and check any particular sales order or purchase order, you are able to see. Now we'll see what all there in the upper tabs. First one is related to purchase. You can define the purchase price. Okay. For this not defined, it will come from the transactions which you have done. So history, then you can define line, multiple discount, and total discount. Whatever is already there in the transaction, you can do that. You can define, you can view the trade agreements, you can create the trade agreements. We'll see what is trade agreements, and there is something called as purchase agreements. So basically, if I give you the simple example, trade agreement in the sense, what is, how much quantity is to be sold and how much price, that's it. That is applicable for any person who is going to buy that particular product. Okay, and the purchase agreement is like that. For a particular with a particular vendor, you have a special price. Okay, so that is the, you can say, simplest difference. If the purchase order is already created, you can simply go to the purchase order lines. If you want to define any matching policy, this is more or less a finance person who is going to do that. Okay. What will the price tolerance? Price tolerance in the sense how much price deviation should be there. For example, you can say the change of price should be 5%, 10%, or 20%. In the approver one, you can set which all vendors are approved for this particular item to be purchased. Okay, hope you remember that checkbox is also in the purchase one. See this one. So we are trying to, if you want to maintain a list of vendors from whom you want to buy, you can maintain that. Okay, and I say not allowed in the sense whichever vendor which are defined over here, they are only allowed to use this particular to create a purchase order for this particular vendor. For example, if I define this vendor, if it is effective from today, which means only this vendor is allowed to create the purchase order. How we can see that? I will show you. If I say close, minimize, I go to accounts payable, purchase orders, all purchase orders, purchase, if I select some other vendor, okay, and if I'm trying to see, it's given a message that vendor code 10 is not authorized for this one. Got my?
Yeah.
So you are putting a restriction at the product, at the purchase order creation level, so that there is no chance of any kind of mistakes.
Okay. A fundamental question: what's the difference between a purchase order and a sales order?
Okay. Right. Yeah. I'll just ask you one question before that, before I answer anything. If you are starting your business, okay, what is the triggering point for any kind of business?
Any order that I get, the first contract or first sale.
Yeah. So what is that? That is demand, right?
That is demand, correct.
Yeah. Okay. So demand is nothing but your sales order.
Demand is
Whenever we start any kind of business or any kind of, whenever we implement any kind of, you can say, ERP, your triggering point is always a sales order, which means you create, your salesperson goes to the market, gets the order for example, for manufacturing an AC, which means the sales order is the you can say document which tells your company that this is the demand for this particular item and this is the quantity.
Okay.
Okay. And purchase order is the document which provides the raw material, all the item to be sold. Okay. You can go. It goes hand by hand. If you are creating a sales order, then you are going to create a purchase order. Unless you are a purely manufacturing company, still you need to purchase something. Okay. For example, you are building an AC. At least then whatever happens, you are going to at least buy steel or buy aluminum or buy rubber. So if you are creating a sales order, purchase order, you can say it goes hand in hand. Manufacturing, it may or may not be. For example, you are only a company who does the packaging of that particular item and selling it.
So let's see if I understood it. So let's say the business is a screw manufacturer.
Yeah.
Okay. So if someone wants to buy finished screws, someone wants 20,000 screws from me, I will create a sales order when I sell it to them.
Correct.
And if I want to buy steel to make the screws, I'll create a purchase order to my vendor.
Correct.
Okay, makes sense. Let's go more. Understood.
Okay. So in any ERP, the sales order or any other business process, the sales is your demand, which will fulfill your purchase order and which requires the fulfillment from the purchase order as well as the manufacturing of the production order.
Okay, so now going back to what you're showing me, we created a product and
Yes.
you said you put in a restriction on the product for a vendor. Yes. Why product is sold to a customer, not to a vendor?
No. It's not we are telling to the system that whenever we are going to buy this particular product, we'll only buy from this particular vendor because he is giving us the best price, or he is the only vendor who will
sell that part. Okay. Makes sense. Okay, understood now. Okay.
Or else there is another control. You can create a purchase agreement. In that case, there is no restriction. If you change the vendor, you can still buy. But if company says that, restrict that, we don't want to implement purchase agreement. We are going to only buy from him, and we'll put that purchase price in the item form itself. Okay. So you have two ways to do an agreement. Either you restrict the product to be bought from a particular vendor, and you cannot, simple sum that you cannot restrict. Nobody will restrict selling a product to a different customer.
True.
unless that you can also you can do that, but using a sales agreement.
Yeah. No, I've seen those restrictions. Yeah. They specifically manufacture a certain product line only to sell for Walmart or things like that. Okay.
Yeah. So we have seen how to create a product, how to release a product, what is an item model group, okay, how we are applying the approver vendor list and all those things. So tomorrow we'll see again what all these tabs are there. We'll again revise everything. Okay. If you can share me your email ID, what I will do, I will send you some documents before I do after the class every day, so that you can go through. Okay. And what we can do tomorrow, we'll first what I will do, I will log into your system. I will try to download the VM on your system so that you can start practicing. And meanwhile, also try to search a company from where you can buy at least the online version, and you can practice before that.
Okay. Would you be, if I got the software alone, can you help me install?
I can, because if you have the software, we can do that. No issues.
Okay. I will. I think I. So what all do I need? I need MS SQL Server. I just put my email ID in the chat.
You need the Windows 2008 R2 as the OS.
If you don't mind, can you send me a list of all the software that I need?
I'll do that. In email, I will reply.
Okay. Once I have that, I will get all that, because trying to do remote and then trying a download, then if the download fails, then everything fails, right?
Yeah, because what will happen if you are installing directly, 4 GB RAM is pretty much good.
Oh, okay.
If you are doing everything, and don't worry about the license. License is I will give you the AX license. You can, but other things you need to install. What you need to, I will put everything.
Okay, give me a list and I will gather all that software. I'll download it.
Yeah, I will also send you the screenshot how to install everything.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I can do it tomorrow.
Wonderful. Super.
Yeah.
Super.
We'll catch you tomorrow then.
What time do you want to do tomorrow?
I told them I'll just come, because I wanted to do in around your 10 AM timing. So.
My 10 AM, is it? I'm okay.
Yeah, so I will ask them, because today I also asked them for 10 AM. They say that we'll do it today for 8 PM, then from tomorrow we'll do it at 10 AM.
I mean, Nadeem Samir here. I'm so sorry, guys. Is there any other time, can we do it like in the evenings, your time, that 8 o'clock or something?
For me, the 8 o'clock is not suitable, because I have some other work also. Because Basically, I have another class from after this, so I don't want
so
to.
let me talk to Arvind, and I will update you about the timings with you. All right?
Yeah, sure. Because if what happens whenever you want to extend the class, I will not be able to do that.
I understand.
I don't want to do that.
I understand. So tomorrow you will be installing the virtual machine, everything into the Arvind system, right?
No, he's going to do the other way around. He's going to install the OS and all those steps. I think so.
I mean, he can able to find in online all those things.
I think I can source most of it. Just give me the list, and I will reply right back with what I can and what I cannot find, and then we'll take it from there. How's that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
That's good to know. That's good to know, Nadeem. It's nice, session. It was a pleasure. So we'll meet up tomorrow. I will update you, Nadeem, before the session tomorrow. I will update you
so
please, timings and everything.
Please tell me that so that I'm available at that time.
Sure, no problem.
Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice
Take
day.
care.
Hey, thanks, Nadeem.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Samir, what works best for tomorrow?
Yeah, we'll talk on the Skype.